frequently this season, I've sat in this very seat and said to you, this is a massive game for West Ham. This is a massive game for David Moyes. Tonight isn't, really. I sort of meant it when I said it was a massive game. And I guess for West Ham, I was half right. For West Ham, they were massive games. In a few of them, we didn't do as well as we'd have hoped, but they were massive games. Perhaps not in terms of David Moyes, but I didn't know that. I was judging it by my own logic. I was just constantly thinking, oh, he's in trouble now, he's in trouble now. Now looking back, maybe he never was in trouble. Maybe he never was under the threat of getting the sack. There were a feim people that said it at the time, which is they will not get rid of him. They will not get rid of him. And I thought, not only did I disbelieve it, I also don't think I wanted to believe it. And that's key. I'm sort of shutting myself off to the noise because it didn't fit with my logic, right? It didn't fit with my assessment of the situation, which was not just comparatively based on how well David Moyes had done in previous seasons, it was factoring in the amount of money David Moyes had spent. Considering that massive spend up, David Moyes, I felt, would be in a precarious position. That the board might be thinking, hold on, mate, we've just given you 180 million. It looks like you're wasting more money. Why are we down the bottom of the league? Hold on, last year you pretty much wasted 30-odd million or whatever it might have been on Vlasic. So I thought that might have put some pressure on him. Turns out that that's not the case. So we find ourselves, here we are, match day, last match day for a little while. So we got a break. The Man City game got cancelled, of course, and we've got a little international break. So I can't sit here and say this is a massive game for West Ham and David Moyes. Don't think it is. We're 2-0 up at home. And we've clearly already played the most difficult leg away from home. And whilst, I'm sure that they'll play as well as they can, Larnaca at London Stadium, they made quite a nice little racket, didn't they, in their home ground? They got their ultras. But now it's a different set of circumstances. Number one, they've got to travel. Number two, their league is a lot more, has become a lot more competitive because it's broken off to the top six. They've got this playoff thing where the top six break off from the league. And they've got a chance of winning the league. Put it this way, even in that first leg, they rested their best player, the guy that had scored a hat-trick in their league game. They're going to rest more. So the point is, today's an easier game. So, do I think it's a massive game for West Ham? Yes, but I don't think it's a dangerous game for West Ham. There you go. Those comments could come back and bite me on the arse, couldn't they? I do believe, however, that it is a massive game for Gianluca Scamacca. And sometimes you look at them, and everyone has their big games, don't they? And this is it. I think this is it. I would like to say that this will tell you everything about what David Moyes thinks of Gianluca Scamacca, but it won't. It won't, because it's not like he's going to play him in a game that David Moyes even deems to be crucial. He really doesn't. I think David Moyes does want to win this competition. I've been very intrigued by a lot of the suggestions that David Moyes already knows he's sacked and he now wants, say, a trophy on his CV, so he doesn't really care what happens in the league and he's going all out for Europe. That's interesting. I get the logic. I understand it. I can't... Yeah, I don't know if I fully believe that. I mean, that would be horrendous. If that was the case, it'd be horrendous. Again, I probably don't want to believe that. And also, I just find it hard to sort of fathom that this guy who throughout his career has not been someone that's gone for trophies and really tried to grab a trophy. His managerial career, his CV, as far as he sees, it's not defined by that he'd suddenly get the urge to do so now. Hey, look, maybe I'm wrong. My point is David Moyes should know that actually, realistically, we go one goal up in this game, which we should do, and it's all over. So he's not really making any statement by playing Scamacca in here, but it is important for Scamacca. And I had a lot of sympathy for Scamacca, not just because we saw those images of him slumped down by the advertising hoardings, completely dejected, completely disgruntled, looking like a man who just did not want to be there. But it was also, I think it was added to by a lot of the news in the Italian media, Gazzetta dello Sport, who are obviously a big Italian daily newspaper, making lots of stories. I say making stories, I probably weren't making the stories, probably reporting on stories that he's wanted by a host of Italian clubs. The whole of Italy knows he's unhappy. We know he's unhappy. He's just been ditched by his agents for reasons we don't know, and I wouldn't even discuss anyway. And I say wouldn't even discuss, like I've heard a rumour. I haven't even heard a rumour about it. I don't know, okay? And we know I look at him and his body language, basically everything points to him being unhappy, and I get it. And then what adds to that is his national manager, Italy boss, Roberto Mancini, they call it the Azzurri, that's what they call the Italian national, that's the word I was looking for, the Azzurri. Azzurri boss, Roberto Mancini, has basically said publicly he needs to play more. Scamacca needs to play more. And in the process of him saying that he needs to play more, he also named the other strikers. Whose name? I know one of them was Raspadori. He named 4 strikers. Scamacca was one of them. You probably know him yourselves better than I do. But it was very, very clear what he was saying there. It wasn't cloak and dagger. It wasn't a veiled threat or anything like that. I just think he was speaking openly, which is, it's hard for me to select this guy. But we need him playing. Italy need him. He said, we've not got many strikers. I need all 4 of them playing. And him hearing that has got to, that really, really has to be demotivating for him. And I think this is a lot of the time the problem with David Moyes. And I've read, funny enough, I've just finished reading an interview he gave with the Newham Recorder, which doesn't make good reading at all. Thank you to my pal Tony for sending me that over on WhatsApp. As Tony, you'll have seen on this channel many, many times. And look, I'll go for that article. I'll tell you what, we'll probably go through that article. We ain't got much to talk about over the next 2.5 weeks. But I think when you look at the things that David Moyes has said during the same interview when he was speaking about why Scamacca can't get in the team, about the stats. Scamacca's stats are no good. They're no good. His running stats, awful. Can't put him into the team. Basically, I've looked at his numbers. Said his attitude's good. His hold-up played as parts of his game, which are good. But I've looked at his numbers, and they're no good. And I looked at that. I thought, well, bear it in mind. Look what we discussed a couple of days ago. Thomas Souček's numbers, 9 passes in a game. What you're doing, Moyes. You're being selective about which numbers you look at, because those numbers ain't so great either. And I think what it does show you is that Moyes places more importance on running stats than passing stats or skill stats. I don't know what Scamacca's numbers are. I can see his body language ain't right when he's on the pitch. But David Moyes acts like, when he's talking about that stuff, like he hasn't played any role in it. As I say, I always think that David Moyes takes a detached view. Oh, look at Scamacca. He's a bit sulky without ever really thinking, well, hold on, mate, you made him that. He certainly wasn't when he started off. Look, was he the biggest smiler in the world? No. All right, he wasn't. But when he first came to West Ham, he did look motivated. He's had that drummed out of him. All right, quite frankly, it looks like David Moyes has sucked the love of football out of Gianluca Scamacca. And do you know what? I completely understand. David Moyes sucked the love of football out of me. That's a sentence I didn't want to get wrong, did I? Anyway, so I sort of get it, all right? But even without that, I'll tell you a couple of qualities that Scamacca's got. He's got a shot like, honestly, he's got a shot, kicks like a mule, quite frankly. And it's got a 100-mile-an-hour shot. It's not. But you know what I mean. And we've got the type of shot that would rip the net off the goalposts. Very, very accurate with his shooting. Can shoot at range. He's got a lot of qualities. Those qualities aren't enough, it seems. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Actually, you almost get the impression, as long as he ran around a lot, he could be crap at shooting. Remind you of anyone? And then you sort of look at that and you wonder if he's appraising it the same way with someone like Thomas Souček. It's all right, Thomas, I don't mind you've only made 9 passes. That's all right. Run around a lot and do the blocks and do the headers. That's absolutely fine. So I think it's a big game. A big game. Not for West Ham, not for David Moyes. Big game for Scamacca. Not because I feel that he can force his way into the team for the Southampton game. I don't know. I don't think so. But what it might do, there's a knock-on effect. Scamacca scores a couple of goals against Larnaca, and it gives him a little bit of confidence. Roberto Mancini then looks at him and says, oh, hold on a second. Maybe I'll feature you in one of our 2. I don't know how many. And the truth of the matter is, I don't know how many games Italy have got in this international break. But maybe I'll use you in one of the games. Use him in one of the games. He starts to feel good. He's amongst his friends. He's got a manager that rates him. He's got his strike partner. He's not isolated up front. He scores a couple of goals. His pecker's up again. Then he comes back to us, a different player. What do I think then? Do I think David Moyes will then use him? No. But at the moment, see, we bought a £35 million striker in Gianluca Scamacca. That's what we bought. He ain't a £35 million striker anymore. We do not get our money back. David Moyes has done full Vlasic on him. Full Vlasic on Scamacca. And if we are going to get any money back, and I don't believe he's going to be here next season, well, they certainly won't both be here. David Moyes and Scamacca will not both be at the club next season. One of them's got to go. And well, I mean, anyway. I say we know. I speak for myself. I don't speak for you, and nor would I. I'm quite open to the fact that there are still, some fans that would like David Moyes to remain. And that's cool. I don't agree, but I get it. He's done an awful lot for the club. But sorry, I didn't mean to put words into your mouth then. But I think, given the choice, who would I prefer to remain at the club, Scamacca or David Moyes? If it's a choice out of the two, I'll be packing David Moyes' bags and dropping him. Probably don't need to go to the airport, does he? Probably just the station. Save myself a little bit of money on that. Anyway, there you go. So I think big game for him tonight. Give him every chance. That's all I'd do. Play the 4-4-2. Do something. Even if it gives you a tactic to practice, just in case things go wrong at the end of games when you actually can't play for a draw. Why not? See if it works. Why not? Imagine how bad would this be? How bad would this be? We spend £35 million on a striker. Tall, athletic, strong, the perfect target man. Really, really hard shot. And then we go and buy one of the best diminutive finishers in the Premier League in Danny Ings. Put him on 125 grand a week. As a partnership, you can imagine it, can't you? The big guy and the little guy. You can imagine they wouldn't be occupying the same spaces. You think they'd complement each other. How bad would this be? If we having spent all of that money, we got to the end of the season and we didn't get to see a full game of football with Ings and Scamacca up front.